I'm so sorry, Georgia.
No, look at me!
Hello, Recapers. Today's movie starts with two high school girls, Georgia and her best friend Reagan, sitting in a diner having breakfast. They're talking about their plans to leave town for college, as high school is wrapping up in just a few weeks. Georgia's father owns a factory that's surrounded by dark rumors. People in town whisper that he's secretly making a deadly poison, or worse, a zombie virus. No one really knows the truth, but everyone assumes something sinister is happening. Because of this, Georgia is often mocked at school and cruelly nicknamed Poison Page. Even Georgia doesn't know what goes on inside the factory. All she's heard are the same rumors as everyone else. As the girls chat, smoke suddenly fills the diner. Panicked, they rush outside, only to find out it's not a fire. Two boys, Robbie and Jimmy, were playing a prank and had filled the place with smoke for a video. They laugh and tease Georgia, calling her Poison Page again. Enraged, Georgia snaps and beats them up before storming off with Reagan. Later that night, Georgia and Reagan head to a house party at Reagan's uncle's place, conveniently located near Georgia's father's mysterious factory. As they walk, we learn that Georgia has been dating a guy named J.K. for 9 months, though they haven't been intimate yet. What she doesn't know is that Reagan secretly likes J.K. too. At the party, J.K. arrives, and Georgia lights up with joy. They share a kiss, and soon other couples begin to show up. Casey and Blake head upstairs to hook up. Meanwhile, Georgia, Reagan, and J.K. hang out and enjoy the evening. Then, two more friends, Chelsea and Tanner, join the group. Just as the party seems to be going smoothly, a thick fog appears outside the window. It's strange, too dense, too sudden. They also hear a loud screeching noise that chills them to the bone. The group steps outside to investigate, but finds nothing. The fog keeps creeping closer, and everyone starts to fear the worst. What if the fog is coming from Georgia's dad's factory? Someone suggests the poison has finally escaped, and that if they breathe it in, they'll lose control and start killing each other. J.K. urges everyone to get in the car and leave, but Georgia warns them it's too dangerous to drive through the woods in such heavy fog. She insists her father would never create anything to hurt people. Even though she doesn't know exactly what he does at the factory, she's sure he isn't a monster. But no one believes her. Ignoring her warnings, they rush to their cars and drive off into the thick fog. But the deeper they go, the worse it gets. The road becomes harder to see, and an uneasy thought creeps in. What if the fog is contaminated? What if there's no way out? With growing fear, they turn around and head back to the same house they just left. Then they realize Chelsea and Tanner haven't come back. Could the fog have killed them? Panic sets in. Everyone scrambles to seal the house, shutting doors, windows, covering vents with tape to block the fog from coming inside. Reagan sends Blake to secure the downstairs windows, but he hesitates. What if there's something inside the fog? Something not human? Still, he grabs his gun, just in case. As Reagan tapes the vents, J.K. helps her by lifting her up, placing his hands on her waist. Georgia sees this and doesn't like it. Casey warns that sealing the house means they'll soon run out of oxygen, but Reagan insists they wait it out until the fog disappears. Georgia disagrees. They need to do more than just sit and hope. Hearing this, everyone starts yelling at Georgia, making her feel even worse, and she begins to cry. Just then, there's a loud knock at the door, startling everyone. It's Tanner and Chelsea, alive and begging to be let in. But the group refuses, fearing they might have inhaled the fog and become infected. Georgia, however, believes they're fine and insists on opening the door. Still, no one agrees. Eventually, Reagan lets them in, but only into the house, not the main room. Georgia watches this and gives a strange smile. Outside, the fog continues spreading rapidly. Tanner and Chelsea try convincing everyone they're not infected, but Tanner's slightly aggressive behavior makes the group suspicious. Blake pulls out his gun, warning Tanner to back off or he'll shoot. Tanner steps back, and Chelsea accuses Blake of going crazy because of the fog. Then Blake says if they're all going to die, he wants to die drinking. Shockingly, J.K. tells Georgia to come to the room with him and get intimate one last time. Georgia is disgusted that he'd say such a thing in this situation, but to her horror, Casey and Blake support JK's idea and even pressure her. Even Reagan sides with them, telling Georgia to just go along with it. Georgia is devastated that even her best friend would say such a thing. An argument breaks out between Georgia and Reagan. Georgia reminds her they were best friends and she expected support. Reagan coldly says if Georgia won't go with JK, then she will, because she refuses to die without feeling something. Georgia is left speechless as Reagan and JK go upstairs and get intimate. Downstairs, Georgia walks into the kitchen, angrily starts washing a glass, then smashes it with her bare hand, cutting herself. Casey walks in, sees the blood, and quietly walks away. Moments later, Reagan comes down to apologize. She says she didn't mean to do any of it. It was the fog. She'd lost control of herself. But Georgia is furious. She accuses Reagan of knowing full well that JK was her boyfriend. Reagan begs for forgiveness, but Georgia doesn't listen. In a sudden outburst, she throws Reagan onto the kitchen counter and stabs her in the neck with a piece of broken glass, killing her instantly. Seeing this violent behavior, everyone assumes Georgia has been affected by the fog. They tie her up in the basement to stop her from hurting anyone else. Outside, Tanner warns the group to open the door, or he'll break it down. Blake points a gun at him and threatens to shoot if he tries anything. Meanwhile, the fog spreads faster than ever. Blake then tells the others they need to kill Georgia. After what she did to Reagan, she's clearly dangerous and could kill them all. But JK refuses to go along with the plan. Georgia somehow manages to break free and hides right there in the basement. From there, she starts listening to everything going on upstairs and realizes they're planning to kill her. Tanner and Chelsea are both trying to get inside. But when no one opens the door, despite repeated knocks, Tanner breaks it down. In response, Blake shoots him, injuring him badly. Blood starts pouring out as Chelsea panics, desperate to save Tanner. Chelsea begs Blake for the car keys so she can take Tanner to the hospital, but Blake refuses and instead threatens to kill Chelsea too. She starts yelling at him, calling him a murderer. Infuriated, Blake stabs her in the stomach with an iron rod, leaving her wounded. Chelsea sees that Tanner is already dead. Suddenly, she accidentally falls from the balcony straight into the water below. She spots a police car nearby and tries to drag herself out of the water to get help, but she collapses, unconscious, before she can reach it. Meanwhile, 2 police officers arrive at the house, responding to the sound of gunshots. One of them asks Blake to open the door, but Blake shoots him point blank, killing him on the spot. The second officer sees this and starts firing. One of the bullets hits Casey, injuring her. Blake and JK help Casey and hide with her inside the bathroom. Chelsea regains consciousness and, though wounded, begins running back toward the house. But she falls into a pit filled with shards of glass. The sharp pieces pierce her entire body, and she dies there. Inside the house, the second officer enters, looking for the others. He hears some noise coming from the basement and heads down to investigate. But as he does, Georgia attacks him, jumping on him. A brutal fight breaks out, and eventually Georgia stabs him to death. Back upstairs, JK tells Blake to go check on Georgia because he's worried about her. But Blake warns him that if he leaves, he won't be allowed back inside. JK ignores him and leaves anyway. He finds Georgia in the basement, but the moment she sees him, she stabs him in the stomach with an axe, killing him. Then she gives him one final kiss before heading upstairs. Blake hears footsteps and begins to panic. His gun is now empty. Georgia tries opening the door but fails, so she smashes through it with the axe and storms in. She strikes Blake twice in the neck with the axe. Then, grabbing Casey by the hair, she shoves her face into the toilet. But Casey still doesn't die, so Georgia repeatedly bashes her head until her skull is crushed. Even then, Blake is still alive. Georgia picks up his gun and tries to shoot him, but it's empty. So she rams the barrel deep into his mouth until blood starts pouring out, and Blake finally dies. After that, Georgia looks at herself in the mirror. Then she quietly walks out of the house. Just then, Jimmy and Robbie show up. They're shocked to see Georgia looking so wild and ask what happened. Georgia says, "Well, your wish came true. My dad's factory caught fire. Poison gas got out. Everyone went crazy. That's why I killed all my friends." Jimmy and Robbie are horrified. They quickly say sorry. They admit the fog and the siren were just a joke. They never thought things would get so serious. They didn't know it would cause so many deaths. Georgia is in shock. Then her face changes. She's full of anger. Without saying anything, she stabs Robbie in the eye with a knife. Jimmy tries to stop her, but she stabs him in the neck and kills him too. After killing them both, Georgia gets into a police car and drives away. And that's how the movie ends. What did you think about the ending? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next breakdown.